I shall show that the theories of Dr. Broccoli and Dr. Francis are wrong. Dr. Broccoli's presentation is on why is New Jersey's climate changing. He said his research interest is in climate modeling. I didn't understand how one can determine the past climate in New Jersey using models created on computers. I sat next to Dr. Broccoli at a climate presentation at the Rutgers Livingston Campus Student Center on Friday, November 20th, 2015. I asked him how he could devise computer programs to determine the climate in New Jersey for the last 120 years. He revealed that he used carbon dioxide records, the brightness of the sun, sulfur aerosols, and the burning of the coal. So Dr. Broccoli bases his chart partly, perhaps mainly, on the assumption that the carbon dioxide is the cause of global warming, and then he factors in the other items. Let's compare Dr. Broccoli's computer-generated chart on the left against the chart which has the actual recorded temperatures by the National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration on the right, which includes New Jersey. Broccoli shows the cold readings in blue and the warm readings in red. He shows the beginning of the 20th century to be cold when it was actually warm. He shows the 30s to be cold when the 30s were actually extremely hot. Broccoli's chart shows the 21st century hot when in fact it was cool. The National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration chart correlates exactly with my recollections of the 30s, the 40s, and the 50s. It was so hot in the 30s I would frequently come inside for a shower to cool off. Right here. In the 40s, it was so cold that I could play ice hockey outside all winter. When I was in high school in 1950, the ice never formed because it was too warm. My ice hockey days ended. The chart on the right destroys both of the climate change alarmist premises, namely that man-made carbon dioxide is the major cause of global warming, and that Michael Mann's hockey stick graph is true, and the world is warmer than it has been in 1,000 years. We only have to go back to the 30s to prove that assertion to be wrong. The dotted line represents carbon dioxide. Notice that the carbon dioxide is low before the great rise in temperatures of the 30s. So carbon dioxide could not have been the cause of the great rise of heat in the 30s. If carbon dioxide causes the warming, there should have been a great rise in temperatures in the 21st century, because we had such a great rise in carbon dioxide. We don't have warming, we have cooling. The warmists have it backwards. 71% of the Earth's surface consists of the oceans. The oceans are a vast reservoir of carbon dioxide. The carbon dioxide forms when the animal and plant life in the oceans die and decay at the bottom of the oceans. You can see the deep ocean is a vast reservoir of carbon dioxide. 71% of the Earth's surface consists of the oceans. The deep ocean water is very cold. When this cold water was heated by the heat of the 1930s, which came right down through here, penetrated, carbon dioxide was released into the atmosphere. I will demonstrate how carbon dioxide is driven out of cold water with heat. This demonstration will show that heat will drive carbon dioxide out of a body of cold water. All these sodas have carbon dioxide under pressure to give the drink its fizz and good taste. I just removed this cold bottle of seltzer water with its label removed from the refrigerator. Note that the seltzer water is colorless. When we apply heat to the bottle, you will see carbon dioxide being driven from the water. This is a fact. This demonstration can be duplicated anywhere in the world under the same conditions. The heat of the 1930s released the carbon dioxide out of the oceans. All of this carbon dioxide was created naturally and was not man-made. This Environmental Protection Agency chart shows the United States heat wave index. Note the spike in 1930 and the higher spike in 1936, and how cold it was in the 60s and early 70s. The highest temperature ever recorded in New Jersey was 110 degrees on July 10, 1936, which conforms with this chart, but not with Broccoli's. In the book, Two Spectacular Seasons, Al Lopez, the Dodger catcher, recalled that in 1930, sometimes the temperatures wouldn't go under 100 degrees day or night. Sometimes we ended up sleeping in bathtubs with ice in the water just to get some sleep. Here's a trivia question for you. When was the only time a Major League Baseball game was canceled due to heat? The answer, on July 16, 1936, the Cincinnati-Brooklyn game was canceled due to extreme heat. Record heat was also recorded throughout the United States and Europe. This is a cartoon from July 28, 1930, which says the summer of 1930 set the record in Washington for days that the temperature reached or exceeded 100 degrees Fahrenheit at 11 days. In the 1930s, the Southern Plains were called the Dust Bowl. Such high temperatures were never before recorded. The heat was intense. 1936 heat wave in England. A terrible wave hits Berlin, Germany in 1930. Citizens flee 105-degree heat. Unprecedented weather attacks capital city. In the 1940s, it was so cold we played hockey all winter outside. I played on this hockey rink when I was a high school junior in 1950. No ice formed. It was warmer. I was extremely disappointed. In 2012, Dr. Broccoli said that the annual snowfall across much of the northern hemisphere is projected to decrease during the 21st century. Wrong. The northern hemisphere has had incredible amounts of snowfall these last few years. This is a failed prediction. Amazingly, this slide and the two following slides are shown by Dr. Francis. Broccoli and other warmists had previously predicted less snow. Dr. Francis could ignore the increase in Arctic sea ice in 2013. How many people look at satellite photos of the Arctic sea ice? But millions upon millions of people were experiencing the cold, ice, and snow across the northern hemisphere. So she developed a new theory to explain her self-described wacky weather. Giraffes in Russia, really deep snow in Japan. Professors Broccoli and Francis will not show us this. Let me orientate you. The North Pole is in the center of the Arctic Sea. There is water under ice. The South Pole is located on the landmass, the continent of Antarctica. Here is Canada, Alaska, the Bering Strait, Russia coming all the way around to Norway, Iceland, and Greenland. The reason Professors Broccoli and Francis showed 2012 data in 2015 is that the 2013 Arctic ice photos showed a dramatic 50% increase in Arctic ice in 1 year. These satellite photos were taken with a new technology called cryosat, using sonar technology where the depth as well as the extent of the ice can be determined, giving us the total volume of the Arctic ice. In the 2012 photo, there's a lot of open water. Below the photos are gradients, which show the thin ice in blue, thicker ice in green, and the thickest ice in yellow and red. There is a small green area and only a smidgen of yellow with no red area. In the 2013 photo, the ice has expanded, so there is little open water, and there appears to be a larger green area, an enlarged yellow area, and even some red, thicker ice. How could we have more ice when there is more human-produced carbon dioxide than ever before? If you and I are the guilty party with our SUV cars and our fossil fuels, how could the Earth be colder? The 2013 cryosat photo destroys the validity of Dr. Francis's study on the rapidly melting Arctic sea ice. Dr. Francis's area study is the rapid Arctic sea ice melt, and this is her Arctic sea ice slide. You can see the first photo was in 1980 after a period of great cold when you would expect maximum ice cover. And the second photo was taken in 2012 showing the maximum ice melt that was available. She said 1/2 of the Arctic sea ice melted in this short period. If so, where's the sea rise at the Jersey Shore? Where's the flooding of Miami and South Florida, of which Al Gore hysterically warned us of 25 years ago? The Arctic Sea is a small area of the Earth, and the oceans cover a vast area. So much of the ice has already melted. One has to wonder if there would be any discernible rise in ocean levels if the Arctic sea ice completely melted. She doesn't show the 2013 50% increase in Arctic sea ice. It would be difficult to conceive of a logical reason for the discrepancy, which would conform to the warmist narrative. Dr. Broccoli showed a similar slide. This is Dr. Francis's chart showing the rapid Arctic sea ice melt, which she claims is greater now than in the last 1,000 years. She doesn't show the 50% increase in ice in 2013. She showed this chart in 2015, 1 year and 4 months after the 2013 cryosat results were revealed. When I asked her about the 50% increase in Arctic sea ice, she murmured that it was slight. That statement proves she knew about the increase in sea ice and chose to deceive us by not showing the significant increase. This is a deception by omission. Instead, she had the audacity to project the downward course off the chart. Now we see why Dr. Francis picked 2012 to be the end of her slide. This was the year in which the Arctic sea ice melt was at its maximum. Right here. She can't show the 50% rebound in 2013 because man-made carbon dioxide in the atmosphere is greater than ever before. If carbon dioxide is the cause of global warming, there should be less sea ice now than ever before. At the November 10th, 2015 meeting in Rutgers, she again ignored the 2013 rebound. Antarctica sea ice is increasing. What should you do? I suggest you do nothing until you feel secure enough that you can speak out. Go about getting educated, and in your spare time, go to lectures by skeptics or watch them online. Read the skeptics' books. Professors and teachers with tenure must come out of the shadows and fight back like the courageous Professor Judith Curry. You can go to YouTube and enter the following bulleted items into their search bar, or try to open the URL or copy the URL and paste it in the YouTube search bar. The climate change theory is the greatest hoax ever perpetrated on Americans in the world. The climate change proponents at Rutgers and universities throughout the country live the good life on government grants, speaking fees, and trips around the country and the world, all paid for by students and taxpayers. The government has spent hundreds of billions of dollars on climate change. They want to spend trillions. We are faced with an incredible dilemma in which the government is willing to impoverish its citizens based on the false theory of climate change. Thank you for watching this video.